It was a cold winter night in Washington, D.C. Inside the Pentagon, the Situation Room was filled with flashing red lights and urgent voices. Satellite screens showed something terrifying: multiple ballistic missiles rising into the night sky from the Middle East. An intelligence officer broke the silence. "Sir, we have confirmed launches." General Robert Hayes stepped closer to the main screen. "Source? Iran." The room grew quiet. More red markers suddenly appeared across the digital map. "Additional launches detected." Another officer quickly analyzed the data. "Targets appear to include U.S. bases in the Gulf region, naval fleets, and possibly civilian shipping lanes." Everyone understood what that meant. If those missiles reached their targets, the casualties could reach into the hundreds of thousands. Then another alert appeared on the screen. 120 ballistic missiles. And behind them, hundreds of attack drones. The Pentagon had minutes to respond. Someone in the room quietly said a name. Dr. Elena Carter. Heads turned. "If anyone can stop this," the officer continued, "it's her." Dr. Elena Carter was not a soldier. She didn't wear medals or appear on television. She was a systems engineer and artificial intelligence specialist working deep inside the Pentagon's Cyber Defense Division. At 39 years old, she had already helped design some of the most advanced missile defense algorithms in the world. Her colleagues often described her as a quiet genius. She rarely spoke unless she had something important to say. And when she did, people listened. For the last 3 years, Elena had been working on a classified defense initiative called Project Sentinel. Most missile defense systems focus on destroying incoming missiles. Project Sentinel had a different idea. Instead of blowing them up, confuse them. Ballistic missiles rely on guidance systems, GPS signals, satellite updates, and onboard navigation computers. If you could trick those systems, A radar operator spoke quickly. Estimated impact time for the first wave, 12 minutes. 12 minutes. That was all the time they had. Missile defense batteries were already firing interceptors, but the results weren't good. "Interception rate?" General Hayes asked. 40%. That meant more than half of the missiles might get through. The room filled with tension. Military bases could be destroyed. Ships could sink. Cities could be hit. Millions of lives were potentially at risk. Then a calm voice spoke from behind the room. "Give me satellite access." Everyone turned. Dr. Elena Carter had arrived. General Hayes frowned. "Access to what exactly?" Elena looked at the screen full of red missile tracks. "To their navigation systems." The room went silent. "You want to hack the missiles?" one officer asked. "Not exactly," Elena replied. She stepped toward the central console. "Every missile in flight is constantly adjusting its course based on satellite updates and internal navigation data." She pointed at the screen. "If we inject false guidance signals into that network, the missiles will think their targets have moved." A young engineer shook his head. "That would require breaking military-grade encryption." Elena shrugged slightly. "Then we break it." General Hayes asked the obvious question. "How long?" Elena studied the incoming trajectories. 15 minutes. The general stared at her. "The missiles will hit in 12. She nodded. "Then we'd better move fast." Elena opened her laptop and connected directly to the Pentagon's cyber defense network. Across the room, massive displays showed incoming missile paths. Each glowing line represented a potential disaster. Her system began analyzing the signal patterns controlling the missiles. Within seconds, a warning message appeared: "Unknown encryption detected." An engineer groaned. They upgraded their guidance software. If the encryption couldn't be cracked quickly, Elena's plan would fail. She leaned closer to the keyboard. "All right," she muttered. "Let's do this the hard way." Instead of letting the automated AI handle the task, Elena manually started breaking the encryption layers herself. Lines of code began scrolling rapidly across the screen. 7 minutes passed. Then, a soft beep. Encryption bypass successful. The room held its breath. Elena initiated the next phase. She transmitted a false navigation signal through a military satellite network. If the signal worked, the missile guidance systems would accept the fake coordinates. The first missile on the screen suddenly changed direction. Gasps filled the room. It moved. The missile veered away from its intended path. Instead of flying toward a populated area, it turned toward open ocean. Seconds later, the missile self-destructed. The room erupted. It worked. But Elena didn't celebrate. She was already sending the next signal. Another missile changed course. Then another. Then 5 more. Within minutes, Elena had diverted over 70 missiles. But dozens were still incoming. Time to impact for the second wave, an officer warned. 3 minutes. These missiles were faster and smarter. Their AI guidance systems were adapting to the false signals. Elena realized she needed a different strategy. Instead of redirecting them, she decided to confuse them. She injected thousands of shifting coordinates into their navigation networks. To the missile computers, it looked like their targets were constantly moving. The result was chaos. Missiles slowed down. Some began circling aimlessly. Others lost guidance entirely. One by one, their safety systems triggered. Self-destruct. 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 Only 5 missiles remained. Their trajectories pointed toward U.S. naval vessels in the Gulf. Impact in 60 seconds. Elena took a deep breath. She launched one final command. Instead of sending fake coordinates, she triggered a flaw in the missile guidance software itself. The onboard computers interpreted the signal as a critical system failure. Every remaining missile detonated in the air. The radar screen suddenly went quiet. No red lines. No incoming threats. The attack was over. The Pentagon erupted in applause. General Hayes walked over to Elena. "Do you realize what you just did?" She looked at the blank radar screen. "You stopped a war from becoming a catastrophe. Millions of lives had been saved. But the world would never hear her name. Because Project Sentinel was classified." The next day the headlines simply read, "U.S. missile defense successfully neutralizes attack." No mention of Elena Carter. No interviews. No spotlight. Just a quiet ceremony inside a secure Pentagon office. She received a medal few people would ever know existed. Months later, life around the world returned to normal. Ships sailed safely. Cities slept peacefully. Most people never realized how close they had come to disaster. And inside a quiet office at the Pentagon, Dr. Elena Carter sat at her desk again, designing the next generation of defense AI. Her colleague asked her why she kept working so hard. She smiled slightly. "Because next time, we'll stop them even sooner." And somewhere in the classified archives of the United States government, there is a file that tells the truth about one night when a single scientist quietly saved millions of lives and became America's silent shield.